The Democrat who brags she's Guatemalan before American is back to smear ICE as terrorists.
We will continue to stand up for our rights, and we will continue to call out the terrorist organization that is ICE.
That's crazy.
I'm going to go ahead and call her a terrorist. It seems to be pretty easy. You know what I mean? Before they were calling us all Nazis. Now they're going to call everybody terrorists. I'm going to call her a terrorist.
We're going with the T word?
Yeah, the T. What up, my terrorist?
The thing is that she wasn't even born in Guatemala. She was born in Chicago.
Really?
Her parents fled Guatemala, and for good reason.
Stolen valor. She's she's a reverse Liz Warren.
That's right. And they left. Why? Organized crime, all the problems that continue to plague that country. And then she comes here. She benefits from our education system, our universities, taxpayer dollars in order to fund her salary. On her merits, she was elected to Congress.
Yeah. So you have these politicians who are of foreign descent. Okay, I'm an immigrant, and I am grateful to the country that has taken me and my family in. I'm grateful, and I will not actively speak or act in ways that are detrimental to the values of the country, especially the values that made this country great. But you have that happening in the US. You have these people who are so privileged. They were brought into the United States. They fled their countries. They must have heard stories about the things that destroyed their countries. And then those are the same things that they are trying to promote in the United States. And it's really frustrating because when they're confronted about these things, they just lie. And then they go on unhinged tirades, like what you heard her say, that ICE is a terrorist organization. Sometimes I shake my head and I'm like, am I living in a parallel universe where up is down and down is up? How is it wrong to protect your borders? How is it a problem to protect your borders? Now, I asked a question in the poll and I said, are politicians who speak against the values that made the United States great pro-American? And surprise, surprise, the answer is 100% no. 100%. I'm asking these very basic questions. They are not gotcha questions. They're just basic questions. 100% no. Everyone who's answered has said no. So it's interesting to watch these people take the privilege that the United States has given them. They've been given the freedom of speech, the freedom to associate and assemble. They've been given the freedom to contest in elections, even as people who are first or second generation immigrants, but they are citizens and they're given that privilege. And they still do things and say things like this.
But this kind of goes back to the previous block, but why should we care, right? If it's just Mom Donnie. It's not just Mom Donnie. Yeah, it's much broader than that.
Yeah, when you think about the squad, Kennedy, we see a trend also in Minnesota. We're electing people that actively don't like this country.
They hate this country.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But didn't they swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America? So isn't that somehow running contrary to the oath? And how did their constituents not see right through this? I don't understand that, because there's so much blather, which, only holds water for so long. And then you have people like Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman who are voted out of Congress because, the attention whoring only goes so far. And, my feeling is, and I'm not like a big love it or leave it person, because I think the most wonderful thing about this country is we can criticize it. We can criticize the government. We can criticize the sitting president. She can criticize ICE. But there's a big difference between a critique and just outright hatred and loathing.
Yes, the thing about the reason why Democrats who talk like she does get elected is that the Democrat Party runs their campaigns on identity politics. It's all about identity politics. And you see how the Democrat Party has been overrun with people who don't look like native European American, I'm trying to say this right, Native Americans of European descent. Okay, so those are the majority, but the Democrats are filling up their ranks with people who don't have the roots. You see, and I'm going to say something that's going to make me really unpopular, and people are just not going to like me. A country should be run by people who understand the values and the culture of that country. period. If you're raised by a family or parents who don't go far back enough to know how America came about, why their values like Pennsylvania is different from Texas and it's different from California. These are very different places. Why are they so different? America is not just one mishmash and milieu of different races, and you can just step in and say the kind of things that she says. She says that she sees herself, first of all, as a Guatemalan than an American. People literally come in and say stuff like that, and they still get voted for. Why is that? Because the Democrat Party runs on identity politics. And I'll tell you where identity politics takes countries. It turns them into third world countries. They become third world countries because it no longer is about one vision. It's not about making the country great and livable for everyone. It becomes about, do you look like me? Do you talk like me? Do you have the same accent or dialect? That's what happens in third world countries. That is why a lot of third world countries are cesspools, because of identity politics. Identity politics is just another nice word for tribalism, or the very popular word racism, because it's really no longer about the color of your skin or your accent. It's about, if you believe these fringe things, you're part of our tribe. And as long as you're part of our tribe, you're one of us. So the Democrat Party really, I think, is lost. It's lost because for them to recover the identity, the American identity that they should have held on to, they would literally rip themselves apart, because they are really all about identity politics. Okay, so let me know what you think of my thoughts, because my thoughts are like, they're not popular. And coming from an immigrant, look, people don't like immigrants who talk like me. They don't. They want immigrants who agree with identity politics. They want immigrants who agree with policies that will destroy the country. Most of us fled from our countries to come to somewhere safe, and we're seeing the beginnings of things that literally ripped our countries apart. And that's why some of us who are either crazy enough or brave enough are speaking up and talking about this. So let me know your thoughts about my breakdown of this topic. Now, let's look at the comments on this, because there are comments on Twitter, all right? And we have Enigma. Enigma says she makes the case for ending birthright citizenship. The 14th Amendment was never intended to provide planet-wide open migration. And this is the problem. You see, it's people like her who create problems for immigrants like my children. People like her create problems for immigrants like my children. My children are going to be first generation immigrants. Now, one of my children, is born here, so he's a citizen. But people like her create problems because we want to integrate, we want to be part of the history of this country. But when you introduce yourself as, first of all, a Guatemalan, then there's a problem there. Kim L says, well, go on back and represent Guatemala in that government, because we're America first here. I agree, 100%. And they don't even, Jazz 2 says, they don't even try to hide it anymore, which is insane. It's insane. When you the pledge of citizenship, you're asked to pledge that you will uphold the values of the country that you're pledging your allegiance to. I did a video earlier in the year where Kamala Harris misspoke the Pledge of Allegiance. And it was such a big deal, but I was very charitable in my video, but it's also concerning that someone could misspeak the Pledge of Allegiance. It has to be in your blood. It has to be in your bone. And the problem is a lot of politicians don't care about the Pledge of Allegiance. And that's why Kamala Harris could misspeak the Pledge of Allegiance. It's time to officially deport this illegal traitor, according to Scroll of Truth. Well, if she's a citizen, she was born in Chicago, you can't do that. All right. So let me know what you think of this story. We're going to move on. There's so much to say because I could go on and on and on. I could go on a tirade about this story, but I'm not going to.